Welcome back, everyone. And in today's video, I would like to take a look at the complete interval set. So we've talked about our basic intervals, the most important intervals that you need to have, and that's really what you're seeing here. And we're going to talk about the complete set of intervals. And we've sort of explored that with our augmented and diminished intervals. And we're going to really look at the whole thing now from sort of a 10,000 foot view. So the first thing that you'd like to do is really just write this out, right? And you want to have this memorized. P1, minor second, minor third, perfect fourth. And we already know what's coming next. This has got to be an aug4. We have an aug4. And we have a D5 that's right here. And we continue on, perfect fifth, minor 6, minor 7, major 7, perfect 8. And now we're going to go and write our augmented intervals up here, and we'll write the diminished intervals down here. So if I were to augment the 1, then that's going to be here. Then if I augment a 2, that's going to be here. If I augment a 3, if I augment a 5, if I augment a 6, and if I augment a 7. And so you can see I've got A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, A7. So A1 through A7. Now if I diminish a second, that's here. If I diminish a third, if I diminish the fourth, if I diminish, the fifth's already done for us. If I diminish a sixth, if I diminish a seventh, if I diminish an eighth. And so here you can see the pattern, D2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, D, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you'll notice that the pattern isn't really quite linear, so you have to really think about it, but it's not every other note, because then we get here and it just kind of turns into a disaster. But for the most part, it is every other note. There's a really good explanation about what's going on here. Don't want to take the time to talk about it today. Let's go ahead and move on, and let's talk about what would the complete intervals look like with respect to G. All right, so we'll write these out very quickly. We know that this would be P1, M2, M3, P4, P5, P6, P7, P8. Little m2, minor second, minor third, minor sixth, minor 7. And now we start getting into the fun stuff. And here we're going to have a 4. Let's do that in a different spot. This will be our A4. This will be our D5. And let's just really follow this pattern up here. And we know where A1 is going to be at. Well, A1 is the same thing as an M2, but what would it be called is really kind of the idea. And get my color. The note that it's going to be is G sharp, right? And so this is going to be A1. Now A2 would be A sharp. Now A3 would be B sharp. That's A3. We already have our A4. A5 would be D sharp. A6 would be E sharp. And finally, A7 would give us F double sharp. All right, so those are our augmented intervals. Now let's look at the diminished side. And so if we want to diminish our intervals, we're going to have a flat, flat. That will give us D2. Then we'll have B flat, flat. B double flat, right? That's going to give us D3. Then we're going to have C flat, and that'll be our D4. We already have D5. Then we have E flat, flat, which is going to be our D6. Then we have F flat, which is our D7. And we're going to have G flat, which is our D8. Okay, and so we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's how you would do all the complete basic set of intervals, as well as the augmented and diminished intervals. This is with respect to G. And you notice some very funny stuff, right? We end up with double flats. We end up with double sharps as well. So kind of interesting. Now let's try it again. Let's do it with respect to D flat major. We're going to do the same basic idea here. So let's go ahead and start by filling out some of these notes. E flat, flat, F flat, then we'd have F, then G flat. We already have these guys written out. And we have A flat, B double flat, B flat, C flat, C, and D flat. Now I chose this specific scale because it has some really kind of crazy, interesting properties. So let's take a look at all the augmented intervals first. And writing those out, we'll have, this would be a D, this would be E, this will be F sharp, then we'll have G is already written, we'll have A, we'll have B, and then we'll have C sharp over here. Now let's go ahead and write in what they actually are. This is our A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, and A7. Let's go ahead and do the diminished side as well. And this is where it gets kind of fun. We're going to see E, well, here's what's really interesting. E double flat, and if I have to flat it again, we end up with E triple flat. Kind of weird. All right, but it's a thing, and we'll discuss it in just a minute. And so now we have F double flat here, G double flat here. Our A double flat's already written. We're going to have B triple flat, then C double flat, then we'll have D double flat here. And let's go ahead and write in what these are. This is going to give us D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, and D8. Now let's take a look, let's kind of analyze. So a couple of quick points, things to think about. First off, if you ever wrote this in a piece of music, I will not be your friend. I don't ever want to see an E triple flat. I really don't want to see E triple flats and F double flats and G double flats and A double flats and B triple flats. Please don't. I know that they theoretically exist and I know there's a purpose for them, but please don't. Find another way to do it, okay? And this is for all, respect for all musicians. No one's ever going to want to see you do this. So this is what gets really interesting about this. We have this theoretical side. This stuff theoretically exists, but at the end of the day, music is really meant so that we can understand and communicate. And so if we're not getting the communication part down, you're not doing your job. So although E triple flat is a real thing, and so is B triple flat, and we can find triple sharps, right? Those are real things. They're not very conducive to good communication. So just don't do it. And so in that respect, those are how we would look at all the different intervals. And you really want to make sure to memorize your basic set of intervals, including the A4 and the D5. That's what you're going to be using 99.9% of the time. And are you ever going to use the other augmenteds, A1s, 2s, and 3s, 5, 6, and 7s, Ds, 2, 3, 4s, and 6, 7, 8s? Yeah, just not very often. In that respect, we are going to continue to learn intervals in our next video.